Welcome to part 8 of Expansion and Empire. Now we're going to take a look at the politics of imperialism. The election of 1844 really was a national referendum on manifest destiny. If you remember, you had William Henry Harrison of the Whigs win in 1840. He died a month later. John Tyler became the first accidental president and had a very embattled administration because even his own cabinet was conspiring against them because they felt that he should just be a placeholder for the dead Harrison, not president in his own right, and he would defy that vehemently and set the precedent for how vice presidents ascend to the presidency. Okay, the Whigs in 1844 are going to run the great compromiser, Henry Clay. Right? But the Whigs are also going to try and avoid all controversial issues like slavery and expansion. And the reason why was slavery itself. In the Whig Party, you had northern factory owners who were some of them abolitionists and as members of the parties, but in the South, Whigs, which were mostly elitists, were plantation owners and slaveholders. And so slavery was such a contentious issue, you couldn't really use it as a political agenda item in the Whig Party because it would cause internal turmoil. Same thing for expansion, because remember, every time you expand, the first question asked, can you have slaves there? Right? So the Whigs will avoid it altogether. The Democrats, on the other hand, are going to embrace it. James K. Polk is going to run for the presidency, right? And he and the Democrats are going to protect slavery and promote expansion. Even their political platform will put this out there. Matter of fact, it does so in kind of a ridiculous fashion. It says, resolved that our title to the whole territory of Oregon is clear and unquestionable, and that no portion of the same ought to be ceded to England or any other power, and that the reoccupation of Oregon and the reannexation of Texas at the earliest practicable period are great American measures which this convention recommends to the cordial support of democracy of the Union. That statement's kind of absurd. The reoccupancy of Oregon? We're already there. We just share the claim with Great Britain. Russia, by 1825, had withdrawn its claim as well. So you have a dual occupation. Reannexation of Texas? When did we annex it the first time? He's actually making reference to a group of filibusters that had gone down there, had declared in Spanish Texas an independent Texas. That small group was captured by a Spanish general named Joaquin de Arredondo, who had a young lieutenant with him named Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, and he's just going to kill all of them. And Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna is going to write down, okay, don't take prisoners, just kill them. Got it, right? That'll be useful later when he's fighting in places like the Alamo and Goliad. In the election, Manifest Destiny is going to be the real winner here. Young Hickory, which is James K. Polk's nickname because he was a protege of Andrew Jackson, is going to win a relatively narrow margin in the popular vote, but get 62% of the Electoral College. The American people had spoken that they wanted to continue to expand, that Texas needed to be added to the United States, and the issue with Oregon needed to be settled. Now, Texas is a little bit more complex, but the Oregon issue, James K. Polk will settle up pretty easily. Now, it's kind of interesting that this political campaign of 1844, that one of the Democratic slogans was 54-40 or fight. And what that was referenced to was how much of Oregon should the United States get? And they're basically saying all of it. 54-40 is that far northern line of the territory that goes well into what is modern-day British Columbia. Right? And so what were the Democrats actually saying? It's like, we're going to get all of Oregon, or we're going to declare war on Canada or on Britain again? Right? Maybe invade Canada again, because that's always worked out so well. Of course, James K. Polk as president is going to be a little bit cooler. Cooler heads will prevail. And in 1846, in June, they're going to sign the Treaty of Washington with Great Britain, which is basically going to take Oregon Territory and split it in half. They're going to say, look, we have this border that we've already established by treaty back in 1818 that established that boundary at the 49th parallel between Louisiana Territory and British Canada. Why don't we just extend that all the way to the ocean? We'll give you all of Vancouver Island so we don't have that weird division there, and we get everything south and you get everything north. The United States gets the lion's share of the land, and we have a very clear and one of the longest straight border on the planet as a result of this. Like I said, though, with Texas, it's a little bit more complex.